The courtroom lights hummed softly, bright with noon sun cutting across the polished floor. It should have been just another hearing, but the moment Darius Amin stood up, the room shifted. A murmur rippled through the gallery when he calmly said, "I can speak 10 languages, Your Honor." Judge Caroline Whitfield let out a short laugh, the kind meant to humiliate more than amuse. 10 languages. This is a federal court, Mr. Amin. We only need one here. English. Her voice carried just enough sarcasm for a few spectators to smirk. Darius didn't argue. He simply adjusted the sleeves of his navy jacket, the same one he wore to every job interview, every hearing, every place where he tried to prove he belonged. His brown skin looked warm under the fluorescent lights, but his eyes were steady, almost too steady for a man accused of fraud. The prosecutor, confident and sharp, clicked her heels toward the bench. Your Honor, the defendant is attempting to confuse the court with foreign documents he claims are valid. He insists a paper written in Arabic overrides the signed lease he violated. The judge sighed. Let's get this over with. Call your first witness. But before anyone moved, Darius spoke again, his voice low. If no one reads the document, how can anyone know the truth? The judge raised an eyebrow. Truth is not a performance, Mr. Amin. Somewhere in the gallery, someone whispered, people like him always say that. The whisper hung in the air like smoke. And for a moment, the courtroom felt smaller, tighter, as if the walls themselves were waiting for something to snap. A faint rustle of papers signaled the start of testimony, and the rhythm of the room resumed, only now, every sound felt like it was walking towards something unseen. By midday, the prosecutor had built her case with an ease that came from certainty. She lifted a blown-up text message for the jury to see. He wrote this to his nephew. They think we can't read what they sign. They think we're blind. Tell me, Mr. Amin, is this your message? Darius nodded. Yes. Because the lease they gave me wasn't the one I signed. The Arabic version. We've covered this, the judge interrupted. The certified translation determined that document irrelevant. Stay on topic. The words irrelevant and Arabic in the same breath landed like a slap. Darius tried again. Your Honor, the translation you were given. The prosecutor cut him off. You see. He believes he knows better than the court. Who does that remind you of? A soft chuckle rose from the gallery. Then the tiny detail that twisted the knife, the court interpreter slid the Arabic document back toward Darius but placed it upside down, as if returning something useless. The edges were worn, corners frayed, a lifetime of folding and unfolding reduced to a prop. Darius lifted it gently, turning it right side up with care no one seemed to notice. The faded stamp at the bottom caught a stray beam of light, but the judge didn't look at it. What would you do, his thoughts whispered, though he didn't say it aloud, if the only proof you had was the one thing everyone refused to understand? The prosecutor leaned in. Let's move on. Your Honor, we call the landlord. As the landlord walked to the stand, his suit pressed, his steps confident, Darius felt the weight of isolation tighten around him. And somewhere between the testimony and the judge's impatient nods, the courtroom began stacking injustice like bricks around him. The landlord didn't bother pretending respect. He stopped paying rent, he said. Then waved that foreign paper around like it meant something. People like that know how to cheat the system. There it was. Sharp. Naked. Unapologetic. The judge didn't correct him. Darius exhaled slowly. I paid rent every month. The lease you gave the court isn't the one we signed. The landlord shrugged. He claims he speaks 10 languages. Maybe he misread his own. Some of the jurors looked down, unsure whether to laugh. The judge turned to the interpreter. Please read the Arabic document for the record. Perhaps this will settle it. The interpreter cleared his throat and started reading, haltingly, fumbling over words he clearly didn't understand. Darius flinched. Each mispronunciation felt like watching someone carve through his life with a dull blade. Then came the lie, spoken with confidence. It says the defendant was fined for falsifying documents abroad. Darius's eyes snapped open. That's not what it says. The judge glared. You will not interrupt. The bottom fell out of his breath. This was the moment everything collapsed, the moment injustice wrapped fully around him. But then, from the gallery, an elderly black woman lifted a trembling hand. A gold star pin glinted on her blouse. Your Honor, she said softly, that stamp on his paper, it looks like the same stamp my husband's letters had, when he was stationed in Baghdad. The room changed. Not loudly, quietly, like a chord shifting into a darker key. Judge Whitfield leaned forward. Mr. Amin, what exactly is on that stamp? For the first time all day, someone was actually asking. Darius stepped into the open space before the bench, holding the document like something sacred. Sunlight from the tall windows framed him as he spoke, first in Arabic, smooth and steady, a language the room had mocked only an hour earlier. Then he translated. This is not a conviction. It is a commendation from a coalition court in Baghdad, thanking a civilian interpreter for preventing the bombing of a U.S. Army clinic. That interpreter was me. Silence rippled outward. It also states, he continued, lifting the second page, that any future housing contract involving me must include a protection clause for families of fallen American soldiers. My son died wearing this country's uniform. This clause was added for him. The landlord blinked, throat working. The prosecutor's jaw stiffened. The interpreter's face drained pale. Judge Whitfield stood slowly, her expression shifting as the truth settled in. Mr. Amin, she said, her voice no longer sharp, this court owes you more than a correction. She lifted the false translation, then set it aside. All charges are dismissed. The lease stands under its original terms. And an investigation into this translation error will begin immediately. She stepped down from the bench, meeting him at eye level. Would you honor this court by reading the final order, in both languages? Darius read it in Arabic first. No one laughed. No one dared. When he finished, he placed the paper gently on the table. His voice was quiet, but it filled the space with a certainty nothing could shake. Respect doesn't belong to one language, he said. But disrespect always sounds the same. The Gold Star widow wiped her eyes. The jurors stared at the floor. The judge looked away, her breath unsteady. And as Darius walked toward the sunlight spilling across the courtroom floor, the unanswered question lingered behind him, a question no one dared speak aloud. How many truths had they silenced simply because they weren't spoken in English?